Nobody does fall better than Whole Foods Market. The Spice Up Autumn event is happening now. Save on animal welfare certified beef top sirloin steak, perfect with gravy for a comforting meal. Find savings on organic Honeycrisp apples and organic pears. Then visit the bakery department for their limited time pumpkin butter chai cake. And while you can, level up your fridge with fall wine, beers, and ciders. Spice Up Autumn at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome back to the podcast. Before I get started here, make sure you check out the YouTube channel on Steppe Alaska YouTube channel. The video that goes along with our caribou hunt is posted. It's called Maximum Benefit, which comes from Article 8 of the Alaska Constitution and how the wildlife in Alaska should be managed. So make sure you check that out. We're going to talk about food today. We just finished up some spicy Italian flavored caribou.
Yep.
And this comes on the heels, well, not exactly on the heels, but breakfast was, that was an Abby special, right?
Yeah, I kind of mix up some recipes online with what I like.
Okay.
I've tried breakfast sausage a few times before, and so I'm kind of, actually this is definitely my favorite iteration, so this is the same batch as the one we made yesterday, so I think it's...
So we had all the prime cuts that we wanted to cut up and freeze from the caribou. We got that taken care of, and so we've had the rest of the stuff frozen that we're going to grind. So we've been grinding that, and so talk about the this latest breakfast sausage iteration.
Mostly it just has a lot of sage, thyme, garlic, a little bit of sugar sprinkled in there, but not like an overwhelming maple flavor. I don't like that.
No, it's kind of weird. Yeah, breakfast sausage is just often way too mapley. I like the sage dominance.
Should be savory. And I just, I've tried out a couple mixes before, and then a lot of those mixes, they have MSG or like other kind of crap in them that I'm like, okay, we have this amazing game meat, grass-fed, everything is great about it. Why am I going to add stuff to it that's not good for you?
I think it's the ease of it, but the proportions and it's all pre-mixed, super easy.
Yeah, and it's not the end of the world for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. We used a mix for our Italian sausage.
Yeah. But you've done that breakfast. The previous iterations have been on the mule deer that you got, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So breakfast sausage with that. What other sausages... We did sausage with casing, didn't we, at one point?
Yeah, I've done quite a few different sausages with casing. None of them, I don't know, doing the casing is kind of a hassle. I've really gotten to a point where I'm like, let's just grind it, and if we want to make some spices in, that's fine, but like just easy. But yeah, I've done some like beer brats. I've done the
the beer brats were good, but there was that...
I think it's a Vietnamese sausage or Thai sausage out of actually Stephen Ranella's cookbook. That actually is really good.
It's pretty good. So we had it on a toasted roll with fresh cucumbers and...
like some chipotle mayonnaise.
Yeah, that was real good. We did that or you did that, and we ate that in Wyoming. That was first mule deer, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super good. But yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, it would take a little bit more time, and not that maybe we're just a little bit lazy, but dealing with the whole sausage stuffer and all that sort of stuff, it's nice to just kind of get the meat prepared and then freezer bag it.
Yeah.
Vacuum pack it. So.
Yeah, and that's, kind of my whole philosophy. I don't know. I go through phases, I guess, where I do fancy, like when I first started hunting, I would keep each cut separate and like do the thing that you're supposed to do with it, like the jerky cut and the grind cuts, and then I'd keep all the roasts and it was fun because you learn a lot and it's exciting to try out different things, but then you kind of realize like, okay, there's a trade-off between work and enjoyment, and at the end of the day, like if I could choose, I probably would eat tacos every day, so it's easy to grind. I like tacos.
Yeah, it's so we got the sage dominant breakfast sausage.
Mm-hmm.
We've got chorizo, and that was from a mix.
Yep.
And then we have hot Italian.
Yeah, also from a mix.
So we are good to go with the caribou. Mm-hmm. And then we left some unseasoned just so you can kind of figure stuff out. And we added not just pork fat. You got a pork butt, right? And then
I had pork butt or pork shoulder. I don't like it super fatty, but like especially in the breakfast sausage, I like it to not be so dominant game meat. So
yeah, just kind of cut that a little bit. I know some people, they'll cut 75-25. They'll just get some ground beef and they'll grind that in with it. So rather than grinding in pork fat, they'll actually grind in the 85-15 ground beef. So it adds a whole lot to it, adds a little bit of the fat. But and some people even go like 50-50 when they're actually finally cooking it. But and a lot of people will add the fat before they freeze it, but we typically don't do that. I know other people have done bacon too. If they're going like this is going to be burger meat, they'll grind in frozen bacon with it, so you get the fat from the bacon.
Yeah, I've done that before with breakfast sausage, and I wasn't a fan.
No, I think it's a thing that you can do, but I think that you might as well just add the bacon on the back end.
Yeah.
So that's the sausage. As you mentioned, cuts. We tried to do a lot of shanks the last couple of years, and the shanks were really good with your elk and with the larger mule deer. But man, more often than not with these smaller blacktails up here, we try to do a roast and we try to cook it in the crock pot all day, and some of the meat will get really nice and tender, but then inevitably you'll have like a stinking rubber band in there, and it's hard to separate that. So you can like pull it out before you eat it, and we've tried to do barbecue with that, but it's just a lot of hassle. And
it definitely can be really good, but you really have to watch it. You have to pay attention and make sure that there's the right amount of moisture and it's not getting overcooked, but that it's getting cooked enough, because if it doesn't get cooked enough, it's going to be really chewy. So yeah, this is the first year we've just ground all the shanks, which I don't know why we haven't done that forever.
Well, I think it was the grinder. I was scared of the grinder. Yeah. I remember a couple times when we're grinding it, when it's really, really cold, if not frozen, that stuff doesn't stop up the grinder as easy, because we just got it's like $120 Cuisinart thing. It's not at all a performance machine. So that was always kind of the fear. And so I figured it was pretty much done, and I just got tired of that stuff just getting bound up in there and having to take it out. So that was between wanting to make shanks and then the fear of destroying the grinder. I think that's where we're at. But now we just stuff has been mostly frozen, if not, at least really, really cold going through. So it's been easier to grind. But it seems like the thing's about done. It was smelling pretty good on this.
Yeah, ring. But I don't know. I think those grinders, it's like even 10 years ago. I mean, I just think that it's not a high-end one, but I think they're just so much better than they used to be.
Yeah, maybe 20, 30 years ago. But yeah, I think the horsepower just doesn't really have it. I mean, you can get like your industrial strength, but if you're doing 4 to 5 game animals a year that are smaller, if you're doing 2 or 3 elk or something like that's a lot. Whereas and you just want to pound through, but just a couple blacktail and a goat, and then
maybe 50 pounds through it in the past 2 days.
Yeah.
And it's, I just ram it through, and it's...
Yeah, it's been... It
did smell a little, but...
So, yeah, that's kind of with the shank, but I think we're kind of done with that. I think from now on we'll just trim what we can, and then just take it all through the grinder. It's nice to have the ground again. It's kind of sad. Like the last 4 or 5 packages of deer we had from last year were all like shank.
Yeah, we still have
a couple of them
shank.
for like rut deer shank too. So it's unfortunate. Yeah, so I think we're done with that. Other cuts. We've done some roasts. We've done some steaks. The steaks can be really good when they're fresh. I really like the really fresh steaks.
The steaks are good no matter what.
Yeah.
And
then of course your tenderloin, backstrap. But cooking those right, sometimes they need a little bit of tenderizing, but you just, as soon as you overcook them, you're in trouble. And it can be tough to tell because based on the size of the animal, like, all right, it's going to take, pan sear it and then cook it for a little bit. Or just, some people like it really, really raw. So it's like pan sear and then it's almost purple on the inside. But yeah, it can vary based on animal, just like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch of extra thickness. And then all of a sudden Or if it's a little bit smaller, then all of a sudden you're cooking it. So definitely a fan of those cuts, obviously.
I really like on the bigger animals, like when I got my elk, it was like you could take the backstrap and you could cut like 2-inch segments as like a steak. And like they cooked just perfectly, and it was like they're all uniform.
Yeah.
I had it down to a science of like 4 minutes flip, 4 minutes
4
cover. Yeah. It was awesome, but I think our caribou is big enough that we could have cut steaks, but definitely not with the blacktails.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plans shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
Yeah. Yeah, those I've found when I first was cutting backstrap, I cut them into medallions first, and then more often than not, I just overcook them.
Yeah.
And so I've liked cooking them in that larger piece of meat. That way it kind of retains the juices.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's a lot less cooked in the middle. And then you cut it up, and then it's good. So that was one of the things I learned, not to just go right to small medallions. Cut the medallions out of the larger piece of meat. But if you are cutting the medallion, just like pan-sear it. Over at book club once, McAllister... It was backstrap that had been frozen, so it killed the whatever, and just super thin sliced with, was it pickled onion?
And like capers, I think.
And capers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a thin slice. Man, that was real good.
I am curious about the whole freezing thing with game animals now, if that actually kills.
You don't think it does?
I think if you have like an industrial freezer, because like with fish...
Oh,
I learned this summer. I was very into making my own sushi. Turns out, if you don't have an industrial freezer, it probably doesn't get cold enough to kill any worms or parasites that are in there, so don't risk it.
So it's not just frozen, it's
like it has to be,
I
think it's
frozen.
like 0 degrees.
Huh.
So like a normal freezer is like 30 degrees or something. It has to be like 0 degrees for 24 hours or like, I'm just making stuff up now, but like 10 degrees for 7 days. You know, like it's a higher temperature for a longer time, but like our freezer doesn't get anywhere near. So when they, anyways, when they do it commercially, they have that, but so I am
interesting.
a little skeptical about eating.
Freezing and storing at an ambient temperature of -4 degrees or below for 7 days.
Okay, that's Celsius or Fahrenheit?
-20 Celsius.
Okay, so
that's
negative,
for your sushi grade.
Okay, so -4 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cold.
That is real cold. Yeah. Although there are no actual guidelines to play, this is from webrestaurantstore.com. So, I mean, there's nothing better than this place for sure. Food and Drug Administration has regulations in place for the proper handling of procedures, fish meant for raw consumption. There are general guidelines for what the FDA calls parasite destruction guarantee. That's in quotes there.
Yeah.
Freezing and storing, temperature of -4 degrees Fahrenheit or below for 7 days total time. freezing at a temperature of negative 31 degrees Fahrenheit or below until sold, and storing at a temperature of negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit or below for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So get it stinking,
And it's,
cold.
I mean, you could totally roll the dice and you could eat raw fish and like probably be fine, but like whatever percent of the time, like you get a parasite that like you will never recover from. Like you can recover from it. They make antibiotics or whatever, but then it like leaves these little lesions in your like intestines and stuff that you have to get surgery to remove, and like you literally are never the same again. So I'm like, is that worth the risk?
Yeah. Oh, then here's this sushimodern.com. The way people discuss sushi-grade fish and the importance of freezing, you would think virtually every fish is crawling with worms, waiting in ambush for a host to wreak havoc on. Fear and disgust drive clicks. Well, yeah, kind of, I guess, but you still want,
like
you
your
still wanna know what
chances
you're
are
talking
low,
about.
but they're like the low risk, but the impact would be like horrible.
Yeah. So this is, and this article says sushi grade thing comes in. The absurdly low number may be thanks to FDA guidelines, which dictate fish sold raw. So, all right, it makes sense that they were under. Public policy is not based on using individual attempts to reach near zero levels of risk across the entire population on a national and global level. 0.01% probability of illness is still a lot of people. U.S. is fortunate enough we have very low rates of parasite-related illness from sushi. Only 60 cases have ever been recorded. That's right, 60 cases diagnosed ever. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but even, okay, if you think it's a 0.01% risk, that means you eat like 1,000 fish and like you get it, you know, like.
Yeah, might as well.
It's like, no, I don't know if I'll eat 1,000 fish in my lifetime, but.
Yeah. That's when I was super paranoid. I still hate ticks, and I'm still paranoid of ticks, but not all ticks have Lyme disease. I just assume they do. I assume that they both have Lyme diise and that
The
Rocky
red
Mountain
meat
yellow
allergic,
fever or whatever.
yeah.
So yeah.
That's all.
So I'm staying away from that. I mean, better safe than sorry, whatnot, and also kind of know if people think that it's just raw fish, you can just eat raw fish. Well, yeah. So the Alaska Wild Project guys were eating some sashimi on, I think, the Russian River, and people said, "Have fun with your worms." And he's like, "It's been frozen." So anyway,
Yeah.
But there that is. So anyway, super good, thinly sliced, raw, delicious. I feel fine. That was a couple of years ago. What other cuts? Mostly just ground. You get premium cuts, then ground. Neck roast has been good. That's been pretty solid.
It's big enough to crock pot, but.
Big enough to crock pot, enough to eat around, and then a lot of that other stuff just kind of melts away. The guy up in Fairbanks that was going to freeze the caribou for us, what did he call it? He called it the in-law?
Oh, the mother-in-law tenderloin.
Mother-in-law tenderloin, which is that piece of neck that looks a lot like a tenderloin, but it's so small on a blacktail. I haven't even ever noticed it.
It's super tough, I guess. So that's why you give it to your mother-in-law.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That guy was pretty cool. So neck roast's good. Made some tacos out of those. Mm-hmm. But I think what's your favorite thing with or favorite? I guess all animal. We've had caribou, we've had mule deer, elk, blacktail, goat. What's your favorite, like, meal, I guess, or cut, or?
I mean, it's hard to beat, like, backstraps, tenderloins. The elk was my first animal, so maybe it has that kind of untouchable status, but that was, like, so good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the mountain goat backstrap is really good.
Yeah, we had one of those before we went up. That was so good.
Black-tailed deer is really good. I mean, like, I've never had an animal where I'm like, oh, I don't really want to eat this.
No, the only time that's been a little weird is like shank, but if it's cooked a little bit off, and so it's like, oh man, this would be really good, but just a little tough or a little overcooked. It's always something like that. It's not, ooh, this is hardly palatable. It's cooked perfectly, but it's just hardly palatable. And a lot of times you don't need a whole lot of seasoning, but it's really hard to tell. I think my favorite, like, just some like grilled onions, potatoes, like cut up some sweet potato, into like little circles, little like the little,
Okay,
I don't know,
yeah.
like flakes. I don't know. They're not fries because they're like discs,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, like chips, but
Yeah,
they-
like chips. With a slightly crispy exterior, some sort of green. But yeah, some grilled onions and that, and just fresh tenderloin. Man,
Yeah.
it just feels hearty and feels good. We had a couple of those meals where we had like the kale and the leafy greens that you're growing in the garden, plus potatoes you grew in the garden, plus mountain goat, and you just feel, man, this is a healthy stinking meal. This is
Yeah.
really, really good. Like, you don't even need ice cream or even want ice cream afterwards. Like, let's not ruin this beautiful evening of stuff that we either grew or killed. Man, it's so good. And I'm a savory guy more than I kind of have a sweet tooth, but yeah, that's just a favorite meal. And then, of course, like, you really can't go wrong with tacos. And we've had a lot of really good luck with heart tacos. Really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'd frozen them before. I'd cooked them like straight off before, but having it in milk for 3 days, something like that, in the fridge for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
The enzymes breaking it down a little bit.
Made it really tender.
Super tender and man, super good. Grilled some onions and some peppers, tacos.
Yeah,
real good.
I'm a little intrigued by the tongue tacos Ryan was talking about.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of gross for a while just because of that texture, like the little bumps on the tongue. But he was like, no, you peel those off. And I was like, oh.
I'd seen that on Meat Eater episode where they cut that away. And
then they wrap it in the coal fat.
They wrap the whole thing. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, some of that stuff, like, that was early on when I really, really liked the show. When it was just like, oh, this is great. This is super
it still is
interesting.
a good show.
Yeah, it still is a good show. But it's, I don't know, anything gets to the point where like, oh, is this for the show or is this like real?
Yeah, it's just a little ridiculous at times.
Yeah.
But
say what you will about him, man. The guy knows a lot about hunting and the history of hunting, and he's pretty good when he happens to be the voice.
If he was going to sit there and cook up caul fat covered tongues, whatever he does, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll eat it. I'm just not going to put in all that effort when I'm trying to cook dinner at 5:00 on a Monday.
Yeah. Is that it's pretty much it. Actually, to go back to, there's an episode of Meat Eater where I guess Brian Callen and Joe Rogan are on there, and Ranella puts like the deer head in the oven. And so he's like, it's great because you get a lot of meat. And Rogan's like, what are you talking about? We got some of the best meat in the world. So he takes out some backstrap and starts tenderizing it with a beer bottle and says, this is what we're eating. It was just funny to sort of, hey, man, get out of here with that random stuff.
He put the head, like
skinned
up head in there?
Yeah. So it was like you could get like little flakes of meaty type stuff. And I thought, man, whatever. And it was just funny to see Rogan like, dude, why? Why would we do that when we got whitetail backstrap or tenderloin?
Yeah, I mean, like, leave some for the critters.
Yeah, might as well.
They gotta eat too.
I
don't know. If you want to eat the head, you have at it.
Do whatever you want. Tacos really good. What have we did some meatballs. Mm-hmm. Done meatballs.
Yeah, I like to do all different kinds of meatballs, like Asian twist, classic.
I did a garlic and green soup. Remember, I think that was with mountain goat last year with my tiny little mountain goat. Garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. Yeah, and then some fresh greens. That was pretty good. We did spring rolls. Not spring rolls.
Like kind of like lettuce wraps?
No. You made a little video about it.
Dumplings.
With dumplings. Gosh dang, why could I not come up with that? Blacktail dumplings.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those. And if you make your own dough and you roll it out, it's hard. But if you just buy the wonton wrappers, like, they're so easy.
Yeah. Buy the wonton wrappers. Do that. Yeah, that was real good. Have we done anything else interesting with that?
Nobody does fall better than Whole Foods Market. The Spice Up Autumn event is happening now. Save on animal welfare certified beef top sirloin steak, perfect with gravy for a comforting meal. Find savings on organic Honeycrisp apples and organic pears. Then visit the bakery department for their limited-time pumpkin butter chai cake. And while you can, level up your fridge with fall wine, beers, and ciders. Spice up autumn at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly.
I always like when the weather cools down to do like a nice cast iron pot roast type. I guess we'll have to keep a few roasts from our deer this year since we ground all the caribou. But
what about fish? Might as well talk about fish when we're here. Primarily halibut, lingcod, salmon. Big fan of lingcod. That's probably my favorite fish taco fish. Halibut is so versatile. Hard to go wrong with tacos. Season a little bit, fry it.
Yep.
We did halibut pesto.
Yeah.
So it was halibut, pesto, and then we had some sort of pasta noodle, right?
Yeah, just
the regular
pasta
or whatever thing we had there. But yeah, the pesto was really good. Halibut's so mild, you could pretty much do anything with it. So that was good. Yeah. People would probably say, that's pretty much exactly like chicken pesto, and I'd say, probably pretty close. Yeah,
pretty similar. I've done like salmon Alfredo before too. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and even though there's got a little bit more flavor to, you could do halibut in any of these things, but I did salmon Alfredo, which was real good. We've tried to add. We did more jarring this year than we have. I don't know. It's been years since I jarred, but we jarred up some chum, some king, some silvers. Pretty straightforward. Did some spicy kelp in some.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend that.
No, the seasoning didn't come through just
not a lot of flavor.
I think it's a good maybe relish or something when you're having it fresh, but as far as the season that you want to get in the fish, not so much.
Yeah, which we did that because we usually do the candied jalapenos, but we can find them.
Couldn't find them. Yeah, so we did some regular jalapenos, and actually I don't think I've had any of that jarred stuff that has the jalapenos, so I don't know how that turned out. But I've
definitely had one, and it was decent, but just not quite as good as the candied jalapenos.
Yeah. I think when you're doing the jarred stuff, like typically you're taking it out and adding it to something for like a spread for a dip or for a spread for sandwiches or something like that. It's not really something that you could have it with some pilot bread and a cracker, but
we just eat them with crackers on. Like, I don't know. I just think of like spring fishing. I feel like you just grab a can of crackers and go and you sit on the riverbank and.
Yeah, that's good with one of those half pints.
Yeah.
Because the half pint's gone before you're like, man, I could really use some cheese or I could really use another flavor with this. But yeah, I like it a lot with sandwiches and.
But also, I don't know if I'm a fan of the canned king salmon because it's just there's so much juice in there. I actually really like the canned silvers because it's a lot less juicy and it's a little more firm, which I like.
I'm a big fan of the king. Definitely go. The longer a king salmon stays in the freezer, the more.
For sure.
There are people who say if you don't, like a king should never be frozen. It should either be eaten fresh or jarred. But.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as fresh stuff, what else have we had, fish wise? That's really really good. I think the most, I don't want to say cliche because it is pretty good. It's just people who don't really like the taste of salmon, but then just have it on a cedar plank with a little bit of lemon pepper. I think if you don't like fish, that's the worst way to have it. If you kind of like it, then you have to do something with it. I want to say bury it, but cook it in such a way where there's other flavors going on and not just totally rely on lemon pepper and cedar plank and then a little bit of rice. Because that's the type of meal that's going to really focus on the actual salmon. If you don't really like the taste of it, then that's not the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think I'm a salmon lover. Like, growing up, I would have refused to eat I did refuse to eat salmon. And I don't, hate it, but I don't know. I like some salmon with, lemon. definitely have some garlic and like some honey in there. And just
Yeah.
like kind of fried up with that. I think that's really good.
Well, last night, the king salmon we had, it was king with a little bit of honey on there. And what else did you put on there?
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much
Pretty
what
much
I did
the same thing?
yesterday. Yeah.
But
Except for, yeah.
We had king salmon 2 nights in a row. 2 nights ago, pretty good, but just a touch.
Getting fishy.
Overcooked. And then it was, I think, maybe one of those slightly older kings, and there was a lot that fat, that's the good, healthy fat, ends up when you're eating that gray stuff, it was a little bit fishy. The rest of it was totally good. But last night's was, man, just so delicious because it was cooked perfectly, and man, it went real fast.
Yeah.
But what else have we had with the fish that's been good?
Yeah, I mean, like, also, again, like, with the kind of Asian twist, I like to do it with, like, some teriyaki sauce, or we have this, like, miso sesame salmon recipe with garlic and green onions.
We've done the little cakes, too, which is
it's been a while.
You cook it and get it, like, barely cooked, and then add that to... Like the first time I ever did it was with Ritz crackers because it's got a buttery quality to it. Yeah. And then a couple eggs, and then add some jalapenos, add some garlic salt and whatnot, and then just make them into little patties, and then fry them up in some olive oil or some avocado oil, and then like serve it on. If you make them like kind of small, so it's not like a full-on burger. You can make it a full-on burger, but just like a small little thing on a toasted piece of baguette or something with some spicy. Yeah. Pepper jack cheese or something. That's super good. Those are.
Yeah, salmon cakes. Forgot about those.
Yeah, it's been a little while. But what else have we? With our food stuff have we done? It's been pretty good.
I don't know. I feel like that's we've covered a lot of it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. I know Larry did some salmon dumplings that were really, really good. Were you over there?
Yeah, the wontons. Where we just did the like salmon, basil, and I think we just wrapped that and fried it.
Yeah, super, super simple, super good. You just kept like feeding us. You just you baked yours. He fried his. That was the difference, right?
In the wontons?
Yeah.
I pan fry them. He was like deep frying them.
Yeah, he was deep frying them. You pan fry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did pan fry them. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I'm trying to think what else. Is there anything else we've?
I don't think game related.
No, fish or game. We got a decent amount of halibut. We got an okay amount of fish. The last couple of weeks we've just been hunting, so we kind of missed out on the silvers. I think there's still probably some around, but I mean, you can't really pass up our goat hunts and then the caribou hunt. So that's kind of. I'm not going to choose silver salmon over caribou. Yeah,
it would be nice to have a couple. I don't know. I like fresh silver salmon. I think I maybe like more than king even.
Stop it. No way.
Yeah, I think I like the less fatty.
Huh. I don't know. I think if it's fresh, like, you just can't beat king salmon. Silver's okay, but it's just... Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we haven't... I don't know.
I do think, like, okay, I think salmon is infinitely better when you grill it. And we have not grilled any of our king salmon.
No, haven't grilled it.
So that might be the difference.
Yeah. And haven't had it fresh. It's all been frozen. So I think that's where you can get a silver salmon that's going to taste comparable to a king, maybe.
We've had fresh king. I mean, last year, earlier this year.
Yeah, we didn't have fresh silver, did we?
I've had fresh silver before.
Did we do it this year, though?
We didn't get any silvers this year.
Yeah, we did. We got a couple early ones when we got chums. We got like one chum and a silver and a king.
I thought we threw all the silvers back.
No, there was one silver in there.
We kept one.
Yeah.
Oh.
We didn't throw many back. We kept there were some smaller shaker ones, but I don't think we threw away silvers.
You threw away a couple that you were like, oh, this is too small. And I was like,
Well,
okay.
they were small. They were small. It was early in the year, and it was just like, okay, this thing's pretty small.
Okay,
Small.
yeah.
But that was at the point in the year we're like, okay, we're gonna catch some bigger fish, and there's gonna be time. We're gonna be able to get more. But
I mean, we got plenty of stuff in our freezer, so it's whatever.
Recipe recommendations or recipe book recommendations?
I guess I do I don't know. I like recipe books. What are that? Cookbooks.
Yeah.
For ideas. And I usually kind of tweak them all kind of based on what I have and whatever. But I do really like the Genius Kitchen Cookbook by Max Lugavere. He's kind of I would just recommend Max in general. He has a podcast. He talks a lot about nutrition and health, and it's all science based, and I think he does a really good job. And his cookbook has some interesting ideas in it.
Yeah, there was a slaw in there too that he made that was really good.
Oh yeah.
It's all about having really good, nutritious but satiating stuff, so you don't eat this really healthy meal, but you're hungry 15 minutes later, and so you feel like snacking. Yeah. It's all about.
He's cut up this whole head of cabbage.
yeah.
Mix it with half a salmon.
Yeah, it's real good.
But it tastes good. It is really good.
Yeah, I'd go. I like Hank Shaw. A lot of his stuff is pretty good. It's a really good game cookbook stuff. I think the Steve Rinella book is meant to be kind of a book, and there's some recipes in there, and it's, I guess, entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't. I think we've maybe used it once. Other than that, it hasn't been.
Yeah,
really
I mean,
looked through or read.
Both Rinella and Hank Shaw, I think. I mean, it's interesting what they do, but the recipes are just so complicated that I'm not gonna make that probably ever. Maybe I'll make it once just to try, and then be like, oh yeah, that wasn't worth it. Mm-hmm. But. I mean, if you like that kind of stuff, definitely check those out. Yeah,
I think some things are unnecessarily complicated. Sometimes in order to get if you want to replicate what happens at a restaurant, you have to take the time and you have to get after it and you have to do all those little things to really get the taste right. But I think by and large, a lot of things, you can just do a couple things to it and it can be pretty simple. So you don't have to be overwhelmed with a whole bunch of the other ingredients that I know that there's a lot of things you don't necessarily have to add, but it doesn't have to be super complicated. But yeah, ease is nice when you come home from work and you just want something to get done. So
yeah.
All right, got anything else?
No, I think that covers it.
All right. Make sure you check out On Step Alaska YouTube channel, Alaska Lund Instagram, and
Abby Hoffman 41.
Abby Hoffman 41. And then onstepalaska.com. Check all that stuff out. Thanks for listening, and talk to you next time.
I don't even know if that's right. It might be 411.